Welcome to the Replenishing Life Project. 30 days to recover from burnout and reclaim your vitality. With your hosts, Morgan B. and Lucy Ann Chard.
Hi, and welcome to the Replenishing Life Project. I'm Morgan B., and I'm here with my co-host, Lucy Ann Chard. Hi, Lucy.
Hey.
We're very excited today to introduce our guest, Anastasia Cisneros-Frausto, MD, or as we like to call her, Dr. Stacy. Hi, Dr. Stacy.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Dr. Stacy is a medical doctor who runs her own private outpatient clinic in Skokie, Illinois, where she focuses on wound care and small procedures. She's also an advanced Infinity Healing Practitioner and Trainer, as well as a human design specialist. Welcome, Dr. Stacy. So tell us a little bit more about yourself and the work you're creating in the world.
First of all, I want to say thank you, Morgan, and thank you, Lucy Ann. This is such a great project you're looking into. I think burnout is such a hot topic today. So a little bit about myself. As you mentioned, I am a physician, and I do practice a technique called Infinity Healing, and I am interested in human design. And I'll talk a little bit about each of those. So Affinity Healing is actually a newer modality which is used to help people get past their blocks and create new experiences for themselves. Basically what it is it helps your conscious mind get in touch with your subconscious mind, get that aligned with what people term as your spirit or higher self, and connects that in alignment with the bigger picture, such as the universe or the words like God or source, the divine. And when all these factors are in line, it creates very powerful shifts for people. So I've been doing that since about 2016. And I'm happy to say that I'm able to train people to do this for themselves in their own lives. I practice it on myself, for myself, each and every day with lovely results for myself and my encounters with others. Human design, on the other hand, is something that I kind of fell into studying because I was interested in systems that describe the way people behave and the way things happen to people. As you can imagine, it's very intricate, but the best summary I can have is that it's a synthesis of Western astrology, the human chakra system, and the I Ching. And basically it describes the way the humans interface with the world around them and how they process energy, ideas, emotions, and other experiences. And when I started looking into it, I looked at my design and I thought, wow, this is very accurate. And it really intrigued me. And I saw that a lot of other people are becoming more interested in it. So yeah, it's been quite a journey, and I'm so excited to have all these tools and resources to help others.
That's so cool. That feels so exciting hearing you talk about it, because not only are you a medical doctor, but you also have this incredible spiritual toolkit that you are kind of combining with your medical knowledge. So that's amazing. Yay, I'm so glad that you're here with us. So Stacy, tell us a bit about your story of your burnout experience. What happened to you, and how did you move through it?
Yeah, this is one of the focal points of my life. So I grew up, and I knew I always wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to help heal people. My own family members were, they had their own ailments, and I felt kind of encouraged to, care for people and understand also how the body works and how the world around us works. So the most natural thing for me was to go to medical school. And since I like strong, powerful shifts and strong, like very, how would you say, like, I really liked when you could see the difference in people once you help them. So I chose general surgery as my specialty when I matched. And it's one of the most challenging residencies that a doctor can go into. So I was very passionate about it. I was excited to see how when you go in and you operate on somebody, you physically change them, and then at the end you help them heal from the scar you made, and their lives are so much better, right? So when I went into residency, a couple of things when I started seeing that no, that's not always the case. There's a lot of complications from it. And so I became a little bit disillusioned because I was looking for some a medical specialty that really, maybe not foolproof, but at least didn't have as many side effects as one would hope. The other thing that was very challenging was that it was very not only physically very taxing, it was also mentally very challenging and very emotionally challenging as well. I did give it everything I had. I was very convinced that this was what I was supposed to do, and this is very in line with what I believed at the time was the right thing for me. Around the first year, I started losing a lot of weight. I didn't have time to take care of myself or eat. And then by the second year residency, I started really, my body really started shutting down. I started not being able to concentrate. When I was on call, I would be on my feet all day and all night. And, I would be walking, I'd close my eyes. I would actually go into micro sleep and then wake up a few seconds later. And I didn't think that was very safe. I almost got into an accident. 5 of my senior residents said that they were already, at least each one of them had a car accident before they finished residency. Wow. It wasn't a very safe, environment. And it was, like I said, it was very physically challenging. The other things were just, it was very difficult to concentrate, and it was very difficult to learn the way I was, before residency, it was, I had a chance to sit down and study and read and take in that knowledge and integrate it, and this did not provide that kind of setting. And that was basically the way I learned best. So it was very, very hard towards the end. So at the end of my second year, I went into the program director's office, and he was telling me, well, your contract will not be renewed. Mine along with a few other people. And at the same time, within about a month, I heard that my father passed away. And so the program director said, you can go home early, you don't have to finish, your time. And, you can go home to be with your family to mourn your father. And so that's what I did. I lost my job, I lost, my health insurance, I lost my friends. It was very challenging time because not only did I not know what I was going to do, I didn't have a license to practice at that time. I just had a temporary one. Then I was mourning my dad, and it was just a lot for me to process. Those things happened around the time I was 28. So for those of you who are watching and understand human design or astrology, you might label this as my Saturn return. And so what happened was that eventually I took the 2 years off and really started asking myself questions like, what are my values? Why did this happen? What can I do? And for a while I started really trying to push myself to go and, study for my license and seeing what other jobs were out there. But none of those things really panned out, at least for the next 2 years. So for the next 2 years, I spent living with my mom and my brother, and yeah, it was very humbling just to be, 1 month you're operating and saving people's lives, and the next month I was just, at home on my bed, the same bed I had in high school, and it was, it really forced me to look at my life and see what is really true for me. And in that sense, that kind of helped my burnout. I was kind of forced by the universe or what have you to kind of sit down and really reevaluate what was going on. So it was at that time where when I started questioning everything. I started looking into alternative ways to heal people. I started learning about different branches of medicine that aren't even used very often. I started looking into complementary medicine. I started looking into even the energetic modalities that people use that claim they're healed. And I've always been very interested in, people's stories that they claim that something helped them to heal, and it wasn't Western medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I always find these stories very fascinating, but I also had a lot of questions and wondering what's the mechanism behind that? Is it true? And is it something that can be replicated? Mm-hmm. So those kinds of things led me to look into different healing modalities and their mechanisms and how the world around us works. It led me to question things about what is consciousness and how do we manifest things on this plane of existence, those types of things. And, lo and behold, I found the Infinity Healing, which kind of lines up my belief systems. And it was very attractive to have a modality that works and that I can use just basically on anything.
That's amazing. Can I just say, I just want to take a moment. That is, wow, that is quite, there's a lot there there's a lot there in your story. There's the path that you went through from burnout to recovering into more vitality. And I just want to acknowledge you for that. That's an incredible amount of, things that were thrown at you and kind of in the mix. And to study to become a medical doctor, I feel that's very intense, or what I've heard is it's a very intense process. And it makes me question why we put people through. I understand that you would gain a lot of knowledge and learning through that schooling process, but it's such a rigorous program for medical doctors to go through. How were you able to grasp everything that you're learning? You have to specialize, obviously. It's hard to, learn all about the medical treatments in that case, I'm sure.
Yeah, so the general surgery training was, it is 5 years. I only took 2 of those 5 years. And in those 2 years, I learned basically the basics of operating and learning how to heal somebody's wound. Mm-hmm. And those are the skills I took to my practice today. So most of my patients, they have issues with either acute or chronic wounds, and they have, I also perform small procedures. So, and that has turned to be even more than enough than training that I need. Obviously, I always go in for, continuing medical education, which is required. But the confidence I learned during those periods of stress have also helped me understand that even the worst day in my clinic is so much better than the best day in residency in terms of stress.
I feel that just like culturally, we require so much from people, like, and we're talking specifically of, people training to be medical doctors, but just that, that undercurrent of pushing ourselves and really, like, that must lead to a ton of burnout in the medical profession. Do you see that in the medical profession? Is there a lot of burnout?
Absolutely. In fact, in the United States, they conducted a survey of practicing physicians. These aren't retired, these are still practicing, so you're probably seeing them, if you're going to your clinic or doctor's office. So 44% of physicians that are practicing do suffer burnout.
Wow.
And their surveys, for a little bit more information, they cited a couple things that led them to burnout. And this is basically a lack of control over their work conditions, the time pressure they encounter during the day, chaotic workspaces, which include, drama, politics, bureaucracy, unclear job roles, and then just basically, and last is the lack of alignment of their values with their employers. And, these factors aren't just, targeted for physicians. These are for everybody that's working today. So, if you want to think about it, that's, a lot of people encounter these in the workplace.
Yeah.
That's an incredible statistic, and wow, I can believe it. I think there's tremendous pressure, and I think that's why it's so important that we're having these conversations. One of the core aspects of this project is we have people, both our speakers and our community members of all professions, but the core thing, the theme that they all have in common is everybody knows what it feels like to feel burned out. And it's just so fascinating how many people are coming out of the woodwork with stories like this. So you speak about, which I love, you speak about, recognizing quite early on that you didn't feel that you were in alignment with your core values, and how that can be a real thing. That can be a real thing that can tip people into a burnout state, if you like. So what are some of the other warning signs that you would say, for people to be aware of?
Yeah, so recently the World Health Organization decides like how to classify burnout. It used to be that it was just a general vital state of exhaustion they used to categorize it at. Recently, in May of 2019, they kind of just made burnout just to mean it's in the work environment. And they said it's a syndrome, and you have to see signs of energy depletion, decrease in a mental, decrease in your efficacy or your sense of accomplishment in your work, and an increase in cynicism towards your work. So if you have any of these, you might be burned out. I will say that because some of these symptoms kind of overlap with other medical conditions like depression, anxiety, substance abuse, it's important to kind of get that teased out and really sort it out to see whether, this is burnout plus a mood disorder or one or the other. And the best place you can do that is with your physician.
That's really interesting, and that's good to know, actually. Thank you.
So I would like to, I'd like to mention we have spoken with some of the other guests that also shared that they were actually, they experienced burnout after doing something actually that they love to do, which you mentioned that you wanted to be a doctor, and you were really committed to studying and to doing well. And so I just wanted to take a moment to express that as well, is that burnout doesn't have to look like, we're in a job that we don't like, or we're doing things that we absolutely don't like, even though, because it was something you did enjoy, but then, as realize that there are certain aspects that this just wasn't working for you. So that is really an important point, I think, to make, because in society it's like, oh no, you have to absolutely hate what you're doing in order to be burnt out. And then can we go back to what you were saying? I want to hear more about how you got into Infinity Healing and human design, and how you were exploring those truths as you were going through burnout recovery.
Definitely. So when I was recovering from my burnout, I was basically in the house, and I started asking questions about what's true and what's not. And around that same time, the book Law of Attraction came out.
Mm-hmm.
And The Secret, yeah. And I read that book, and I was like, I grew up with some of these thoughts, positive thinking and manifestation, and even like religion has, ask, believe, and receive. But I never quite knew. It was kind of like hit and miss, so I never quite knew exactly how to replicate it each and every time. And so I started asking myself, well, I want something that works, but I just don't know where to go. So I just kind of started looking up their, the authors and the contributors of The Secret. And I eventually got to listening to telesummits and their hosts and their experiences. And I kind of saw a similar thread to everybody in their spiritual journeys. So eventually I was listening to a couple of people that practiced energy medicine, or they were medical intuitives, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. Like, I've never really listened to people that say they can see the body or sense the body and things like that. So that really piqued my interest, because I go, well, wouldn't that be awesome just to be able to, kind of diagnose somebody or get some, hints about what's going on with somebody's medical condition. So I would listen to that. And so all these speakers, on the telesummits were very interesting to me. At the same time, I was kind of like, well, I really need to, get up off the chair and start doing something for myself, even if I don't really know exactly what direction or what steps to take next. So the first thing that kind of drew me were subliminals, where they have like brainwave entrainment, things like that. So I started with like a couple of those, and then I started noticing that I was thinking like one of them was like about feeling lucky, because I wasn't feeling very lucky at that time. So I was listening to this brain entrainment, and after about a month, I was walking down the street and I found this gift card, and I picked it up and I looked at it. I looked it up and I had $200 on it, and I'm like, wow, this consciousness stuff really works.
That's so
but
cool.
I didn't. Yeah, it was really cool. But what I didn't like was that it took like a month or two to kick in.
Okay.
And then when it kicked in, it didn't stick. So I was looking for something that was a little bit more simple, more quick, and maybe even more powerful. And when I started understanding that not just our conscious thoughts, but our unconscious thoughts, our programs, our meta programs, our emotions, all of those things are actually constantly creating our reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I need to get something that kind of touches on all those things. And, one night I was listening to the Infinity Healing talk by Tarek Bibi, who is the founder of Infinity Healing. And I was just listening. He was doing his talk on, money or whatever, like Infinity Healing for money blocks. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. I need that too. And so, yeah, I listened to that. Like, that was just on a program. And I was like, this is really interesting what he's saying, because everything he's saying is I've already know to be true. And when he did his little Infinity Healing sample, I was like, oh my God, I felt that. Like, what's going on? I've never felt that before. So, through that encounter, I started listening to his products, and eventually his products worked. And I was very glad that I found something that worked very powerfully, and something that, it like I truly believed in.
Yeah.
So eventually I started working with him. He finally offered a program where we could be practitioners, and that was wonderful. And so with that program, I could do Infinity Healing on myself and anybody else if they wanted it. I wasn't yet, practicing, but it really helped my day to day. So what I would do is I would, in the morning, I would just kind of surrender my day to God, and then afterward, I would run the Infinity Healing on myself, and I would see that the day would run a lot smoother than if I didn't. Like at work, people would kind of, instead of them being super booked, they would kind of all spread each other out during the course of the day. Problems that I didn't really know how to tackle, like from an administrative point of view, the answers would reveal themselves. Like they would find out how to fix them, like little things like that. So after a while, Tarek then offered a new course, which was Train the Trainer, which I took. And so now I can train other people to be practitioners, and I can do it in English and in Spanish. So I think that's wonderful that now I can help other people advocate for themselves and perform this on themselves, and maybe even on their loved ones if they so wish.
That is truly fabulous. I love that story, and it's so empowering. I love it. Congratulations as well. I was wondering, or we were wondering, if you would be willing to do a sample Infinity Healing session for us.
Sure.
Thank you.
So would you like that to happen right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, for your viewers, a couple of things about Infinity Healing. So a lot of times when people listen to the healing, they might get a healing like that, just straight off the bat, which is awesome. Other people, it takes a couple of days for things to kind of unravel in their minds or in their lives, and other people, they need a little bit more time than that. So in that sense, it could be just about anything. There are no attachments to how this can play out in your life. You can have the Infinity Healing performed on you, and it can remove the blocks that you have to find the right practitioner or healer or what have you to help you. So in that sense, Infinity Healing is not a substitute for medical advice or diagnosis or treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So, so just having that out. The other thing is, like, whenever you listen to an Infinity Healing, it puts you in a relaxed state. So I caution anybody who's driving or operating heavy machinery to kindly stop and, set aside a time where you feel, you're alone and you can be in a comfortable position to listen to it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
And so the way it works is actually, I put you in a comfortable position. I then ask questions about whether you'd like an Infinity Healing to apply to a certain aspect of your life. And the Infinity Healing technique is actually activated by your sacred yes. This is all done through your free will choice. So if there's no other issues, I'd like to get started right now.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Ready.
Yeah. So yeah, make sure you're in a comfortable position. And I'd like you to take in 3 deep belly breaths. And as you're doing that, I'm going to talk a little bit about what to expect. So now that you're in position and you're centering, I'd like you to concentrate on your feet and how your feet feel against the floor or the ground beneath you. And really sense that connection there. And you could take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Now I'd like you to shift your attention from your feet up to your calves and your knees. And further still into your hips, your legs, your thighs. Now we're going to look at or feel our gut, our belly area. Take a deep breath and release any tension you have there. And now we're going to move on up to the chest, your back. Take a deep breath and release any tension you may have there. Concentrate on your arms, your forearms, your hands, your shoulders, your neck, and any tension you may have in your neck. And now your head. And now sense that bigger part of you. You might call it your spirit or your higher self, and how your body, your whole body connects to that. Sense that connection and how vast that is. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Now, that spirit part, that higher self, see how that connects to the bigger picture, the universe, God, source, the divine. And understand that all these parts are connected. Okay. So, at this time, would you like an Infinity Healing to clear anything in the way of you receiving the maximum from this session? If so, say yes.
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 Would you like an Infinity Healing to clear any remnants of burnout in your life? If so, say yes.
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 Okay. Would you like an Infinity Healing to address anywhere where you feel your energy has been depleted? If so, say yes.
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 Would you like an Infinity Healing to heal any issues with cynicism or mental distance from your job? If so, say yes.
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 Okay. And would you like an Infinity Healing to address your personal sense of accomplishment or efficacy in what you do? If so, say yes.
Yes.
And if you feel that something within you, such as self-worth or a sense of lack and limitation in your life, is actually what's driving you towards situations where you're burned out, if you'd like an Infinity Healing to address this, just say yes.
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 And any other issues surrounding burnout, if you would like an Infinity Healing for that, just say yes.
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 Okay. Please, Source, God, Universe, deepen this healing. Take them to the infinite next levels. Share them with all aspects of ourselves, all space-time dimensions. Include in this more than we know what to ask for. And setting these healings on autopilot with infinite ease and with grace. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is so, and so it is. And when you're ready, you can come out.
Yeah.
Wow. And so it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, that was great. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Oh, that was so beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I understand you have a gift. Well, that was a gift in itself.
Yeah.
Another gift for our listeners. And would you like to tell us more about it?
Yeah, so if you liked this little mini session on Infinity Healing for Burnout, I actually have a 12-minute audio that goes into a little bit more depth about burnout and symptoms surrounding burnout. And you can find that on my website. If you go to www.infinitelevelhealings.com/burnout, you can put your name and email in, and I will send you a recording with that and with Infinity Healing embedded.
Amazing. That's incredibly generous. Thank you so much. We will put all your details in the show notes for that, so people can go ahead and click on that and get that amazing gift. Oh, that was lovely. Thank you. I feel very warm in my heart. Thank you for that. It was beautiful. So, Stacy, we were wondering, we have this question that we like to ask to bring the interview to a close. And the question is, if you could send a supportive and loving message to your younger self from about 20 odd years ago, what would you say to her?
Yeah, so 20 years ago, I was in college. I was actually finishing up college. And I was there. I was really excited to embark on my journey in medical school. And I would just tell her, hey, I know you can't do anything to mess up your journey. It might look like it's messed up, but it's not. You're taking all of your obstacles and you're turning them into gold. You're turning them into something so precious and so valuable for yourself and for everybody. Keep going. Don't let anybody stop you.
Oh,
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I actually feel like I'm going to cry. That was really beautiful. So much wisdom there. Thank you, Stacy.
Well, that's the other message I'd like also to convey to the listeners who are actually undergoing burnout. You don't have to feel bad about burning out. You know, there's always a tool that's out there just for you, and you can take your experiences and you can use them for your benefit and for other people's benefits.
Beautiful. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Stacy, Dr. Stacy, for being with us today and for sharing your story and your wisdom with all of us. We really appreciate that. And yeah, from my heart, thank you. Thank you for being a part of this project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lucianne and Morgan. It's been a wonderful time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stacy. It's been a pleasure.
Mm.